Chapter 1. The Price of Goodbye. The restaurant was too quiet for what it was, a place meant for deals and promises, the kind of place where people smiled while cutting each other open with polite words. I watched the steam curl from my untouched coffee when Lena slid an envelope across the marble table. White, thick, expensive paper. I didn't need to open it. I already knew what it meant. "It's enough to start over," she said softly, eyes fixed somewhere above my shoulder. "I hope you'll take it." I laughed, though it came out small and tired. Start over or disappear? She flinched just a little. Her manicured fingers tightened around the glass in front of her. "Don't make this harder than it has to be." I leaned back, studying her. The woman who once whispered love to me now looked like she was conducting a business exit meeting. Every detail of her was perfect. Black suit, diamond earrings, red lipstick, the CEO mask that had always fit her too well. "So this is what I'm worth," I said. My voice didn't shake. "An envelope." Her jaw tightened. "Don't say it like that." "How should I say it then?" "Thank you for buying me out." Lena sighed, pressing her temple. "You knew this would happen eventually. You were a chapter, not the story. You helped me through a time I needed you." The words fell like ice cubes into a glass, clean, cold, final. I wanted to get angry. I wanted to ask if all those nights, all those promises had meant nothing. But anger was exhausting, and I'd already spent too much of myself on her. Instead, I reached for the envelope, sliding it into my coat pocket. "You're marrying Evan," I said flatly. Her eyes flicked up, surprised that I knew. Then she nodded. "Yes, it's for the company, for stability. You understand?" Of course I understood. Power needed power, and I'd always been just warmth, soft, replaceable, temporary warmth. "I'm happy for you," I said. It was the first lie I told her that day. Lena frowned, unsure whether to thank me or apologize. She didn't do either. The silence stretched between us, filled with everything we would never say again. "You're taking this better than I expected," she said finally. I smiled, slowly, not out of peace, but because it was the only weapon I had left. Her eyes faltered at that smile. Maybe she saw something she hadn't planned for, a man she couldn't control anymore. "I've learned something from you," I said quietly. "Oh," she asked, lifting her chin. "That every story ends when one person stops pretending." Her breath caught, but she said nothing. I stood, buttoned my coat, and left the restaurant. The city outside was cruelly bright. Cars roared by, people laughed. Life moved on without caring who got left behind. As I walked, the envelope felt heavy against my chest. Money, silence, and everything I had lost. I could have thrown it away right there, but I didn't. She wanted me gone quietly, and I decided to give her that. Quiet, but not broken. When I passed the glass window, I saw my reflection, the same face she used to touch, now expressionless. And yet, beneath the stillness, something small shifted. It wasn't victory, not yet, but it was the start of something she wouldn't see coming. For the first time since she said goodbye, I smiled and meant it. Chapter 2. The silence after the storm. The next morning, the city felt louder. Maybe it was the same as always, sirens, coffee carts, hurried footsteps. But after you lose something, everything sounds sharper. Even the air hurts. I woke up to sunlight I didn't want, in an apartment that suddenly felt too big. The smell of her perfume still clung to the hallway, stubborn like a ghost that hadn't realized it was dead yet. My phone buzzed. Mina's name flashed on the screen. I almost ignored it. She had warned me about Lena from the beginning. "You can't love someone who only looks at you when no one else is watching," she'd said. But I answered. "You sound terrible," she said without preamble. "I've had better days." "So it's over." "Yeah." I looked at the envelope on the table. She paid me to leave. There was silence on the line, then a long sigh. "And you took it." "Of course I did." "Why?" "Because she wanted me gone." Mina didn't respond for a while. When she did, her voice was softer. "You didn't take it for her. You took it for you. So she couldn't say she broke you." Maybe she was right, but the thought didn't comfort me. After the call, I sat by the window, watching the city I had once shared with Lena. Every street corner held a memory. Coffee at dawn, late-night arguments that ended with her crying, me promising things I shouldn't have. By afternoon, my friend Theo, a journalist with a dangerous curiosity, showed up at my door. He brought food and gossip, the two things he believed healed all wounds. "So," he said, unwrapping takeout, "the power couple's official now. Lena Wu and Evan Cho. Internet's melting." I nodded, chewing slowly. Theo watched me. "You're not going to, I don't know, post something? Spill a little truth? Make her sweat?" I looked up. "She already will." He grinned. "You think so?" "I know her. The guilt will eat her alive faster than I ever could." He studied me, then nodded slowly. "You're scary when you're calm, you know that?" "Calm isn't peace," I said. "It's just quiet anger." He laughed, but it didn't reach his eyes. We ate in silence after that. When night came, I scrolled through the news. Photos of Lena and Evan flooded every site. Perfect smiles, expensive suits, hollow captions, a power union between two visionaries. My reflection stared back from the screen. Just a shadow behind their spotlight. For a moment, I thought about deleting everything. Our photos, our messages, even the playlist she made for us. But I didn't. I wanted to remember, not her, but the version of me who still believed people like her could love without condition. Mina texted again. "You okay?" I replied, getting there. A lie, but an easier one. Later that night, I stepped outside. The wind was cold, the kind that bites through your sleeves. The city glittered in the distance, a million windows glowing with lives that weren't mine. I passed a cafe where Lena and I used to meet in secret before her world grew too big for me. The owner recognized me. "Haven't seen you two lately," she said with a smile. "Yeah," I replied. "She's busy being famous." The woman laughed lightly, not catching the edge in my tone. I left before my chest could tighten again. By the time I reached home, the quiet didn't hurt as much. It was heavy, yes, but clean. I placed the envelope in a drawer and shut it, not as a goodbye, but as proof that she paid for silence, and I gave her more than she bargained for. When I turned off the lights, I thought I could almost hear her voice echo in the dark. "You're taking this better than I expected." Maybe I was, maybe I wasn't. Either way, the storm was over, and silence was the only sound I wanted. Chapter 3. The cracks begin to show. 3 months passed, long enough for people to forget, but not long enough for me to stop remembering. I'd started freelancing again, ghostwriting press releases for people who wanted their words to sound honest when they weren't. Irony wasn't lost on me. Every email I wrote, every line I edited felt like another lesson in how easily truth could be sold. Theo still called sometimes, mostly to gossip. "You won't believe this," he said one afternoon, his voice carrying that familiar thrill of other people's chaos. "Evan's been seen with another woman." I raised an eyebrow. "Already?" "Some model, younger. Apparently he took her to the same resort he went to with Lena last year." I didn't respond immediately. Part of me wanted to laugh. Part of me wanted to warn her. But the largest part just didn't care anymore. "Are you smiling right now?" Theo asked. "Maybe." He whistled. "You're colder than I thought." "Not cold," I said. "Just done." Later that week, I received an unexpected message. Invitation. Charity gala for Future Visions Corporation, Lena's company. The email had been sent to dozens of journalists and freelancers, but for some reason, it found its way to me. I told myself I'd delete it, but curiosity is a dangerous kind of gravity. The night of the event, I found myself standing in front of the mirror wearing the only suit that still fit. My reflection looked composed, but my pulse betrayed me. The ballroom was everything I remembered. Gold chandeliers, champagne laughter, and eyes that measured worth before kindness. And there she was. Lena stood at the center of it all, flawless as ever. The kind of beauty that photographs can't quite capture because it's built on power, not warmth. Beside her stood Evan, smiling like a man who had everything and feared nothing. I tried to walk past unnoticed. It almost worked until her eyes caught mine across the room. Her smile froze. Just for a second, but I saw it. The flicker. I turned, only to find Claire, the woman Theo had mentioned, the model. Up close, she didn't look like a model. She looked tired, pretty, but sad. Like someone who already knew what it meant to be temporary. "You're Lena's ex, right?" she asked, tilting her glass. I blinked. "That's one way to put it." She laughed softly. "Don't worry, he'll trade me for someone else soon. They always do. Her bitterness mirrored something deep in me. For the first time in a long time, I didn't feel alone. Lena approached before I could respond. "You came," she said, her voice smooth but strained. "Public event," I said casually. "Didn't think you'd mind." Evan joined her, grinning. "Ah, the famous writer. Lena's told me about you." I smiled politely. "All good things, I hope." He laughed. "Mostly." Claire watched the exchange with a kind of grim amusement. "So, we're all friends here?" she said sweetly, clinking her glass against mine. Lena shot her a look sharp enough to cut glass. I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. As the night went on, I stayed on the sidelines, observing. The perfect couple moved from person to person, charming, shaking hands, pretending. But I could see it. Small things most wouldn't notice. The way Evan's hand lingered too long on Claire's arm. The faint tremor in Lena's smile. The cracks had begun to show. At the end of the night, I caught Lena alone near the terrace. She didn't look at me when she spoke. "Did you enjoy yourself?" "I did," I said honestly. "It's nice watching a performance when you already know the ending." She turned then, her eyes narrowing. "You think I'll fall?" "I think," I said slowly. "You already have. You just don't know it yet." Her lips parted, ready to argue, but I walked away before she could. Outside, the night air felt cleaner than the ballroom. I looked up at the city lights, 1,000 bright lights flickering in the dark. As I left, I caught sight of Evan and Claire stepping into a car together, Lena standing behind them, watching. Her expression was unreadable. I didn't pity her. I didn't hate her either. What I felt was something quieter, detached, inevitable. Some things don't need revenge. They destroy themselves beautifully. And as I walked away, I realized that sometimes the best kind of justice is just standing still and letting the world spin. Chapter 4. Her world trembles. The news broke on a Thursday morning. Evan Cho under investigation for financial misconduct. The headlines didn't surprise me. Theo sent me the link with a message. "Karma's early." I didn't reply. Instead, I watched the video clip. Lena standing beside Evan at a press conference, holding his hand while he read a statement about temporary misunderstandings and false accusations. She didn't speak. She just stared forward, her expression calm but hollow. I turned off the screen. I didn't need to see more. That night, the city felt quieter than usual. It was raining, the kind of cold drizzle that soaks into your bones. I stood by my window, thinking about how many storms Lena had once weathered, and how many of them she had created herself. When my phone buzzed, I didn't check it immediately. Only when it rang again did I look. Lena Wu. My chest tightened. For a second, I thought it was a mistake. Then I answered. "Hello." A pause. Then softly, "Hi." Her voice was smaller than I remembered, not the sharp, commanding tone she used to cut through boardrooms, but something fragile. "It's been a while," she said. "It has. I didn't know if you'd pick up." I almost didn't. A shaky breath. "Can we meet? Just to talk." "About what?" "Please," she said. "Just once." There was a silence where I could almost hear her heartbeat, or maybe it was mine. Against my better judgment, I agreed. We met at the same restaurant where it had ended. Same table, same polished marble, same flickering candle between us. Only this time she looked different. The perfect hair and flawless makeup were still there, but her eyes, those eyes that once burned with ambition, looked tired. "I didn't think you'd actually come," she said. "I didn't think you'd actually ask." She gave a weak laugh. "Fair." For a moment, neither of us spoke. The hum of quiet conversations around us filled the space. Then she said, "I miss the way things used to be." I didn't know whether to laugh or get angry. "Which part?" I asked. "The part where you loved me, or the part where you paid me to disappear?" Her lips trembled. "I know I hurt you." "You destroyed me, Lena." She looked down. "I thought I was doing the right thing. For both of us." "For both of us." I repeated. "You married Evan. You built an empire on lies. What part of that helped me?" Tears welled in her eyes, catching the candlelight. "You don't understand. Evan wasn't supposed to—" "To what?" "Turn on me." I stared at her. For the first time, I saw fear in her eyes. Not the fear of losing money or power, but of losing control. "He's using me," she whispered. "Everything's falling apart. I defended him, and now he's making it look like I'm the one who stole from the company." "So that's why you called," she flinched. "No, I called because you're scared," I said. And you always come running when you're scared." Her eyes glistened. "You think I deserve this?" I took a slow breath. "I think the world doesn't care who deserves what. It just balances itself eventually." Lena looked at me like she was searching for the man who used to hold her, the man who once believed every word she said. But that man was gone. "I just wanted to see you," she whispered, "to say I'm sorry." I leaned forward. "You're not sorry, Lena. You're desperate." Her face crumpled, and for a second I hated myself for saying it. But the truth has a way of hurting both ways. "I don't want your forgiveness," she said. She stopped, swallowing hard. "I just wanted to know if you ever loved me." I looked at her, really looked at her. The woman who had once been my world, now trembling under the weight of her own choices. "I did," I said finally. "Too much." Her breath caught. "But love doesn't survive betrayal," I continued quietly. "It just rots in silence until it becomes something else." Lena closed her eyes. A tear slid down her cheek, and she wiped it away quickly, as if ashamed to be human. When she reached for my hand, I pulled back. "You paid me to leave," I said. "And now you want me to stay. You can't buy people twice." Her expression broke. "Please, don't walk away again." But I did. I walked out into the rain, the same way I had months ago. The streets were slick and shining, and I could still feel her eyes on my back, heavy and hollow. I didn't feel victorious. I didn't feel free. I just felt finished. And yet, as I stepped into the cold air, a strange peace crept into me. Maybe because for the first time, the truth between us was finally bare. Ugly, but honest. Behind me, her world trembled, and I didn't need to touch it to make it fall. Chapter 5. The Trap of Pity. It started with a message. "Can we talk?" 3 words I never thought I'd see from her again. Lena didn't beg. She didn't reach out. That was her rule, but rules crumble when people do. I didn't reply immediately. I let the message sit, blinking on my phone screen for hours. The old me would have answered in seconds. The new me made her wait. When I finally replied, I typed 1 word. "Where?" We met at a quiet bar downtown, the kind with soft jazz and dim lights, her favorite. It hadn't changed, but she had. She looked tired, not physically, but somewhere deeper. The light in her eyes had dulled, like something inside her had started to rot. "Thank you for coming," she said, her voice softer than I remembered. I sat down opposite her. "Didn't think you'd ask." She smiled faintly. "I wasn't sure you'd say yes." "I was curious," I admitted. For a while, neither of us spoke. The silence between us felt heavy, filled with all the things we never said. Finally, she exhaled. "You've heard, haven't you? About Evan." I nodded. "He's seen Claire. I didn't think you'd care." Her lips trembled, just slightly. "I don't," she lied. "I just didn't expect it to happen so soon." I leaned back, pretending to study her expression. "You built your empire on people like him. You should have known better." That hit her. She looked away, blinking fast. "I know I hurt you," she whispered, "but I never wanted this." "Didn't you?" I asked quietly. "You wanted freedom, success, a clean break. Isn't this what that looks like?" Her hand shook as she lifted her glass. I was wrong. The words landed like a soft confession, but I didn't let them settle. I wanted her to feel the echo, not the comfort. She reached across the table, fingers brushing the back of my hand. It was a small gesture, but it burned. "Do you ever think about us?" she asked. "About what we were before all of this?" I looked at her for a long moment. "Sometimes," I said. "Usually when I'm trying to remember what being naive felt like." Her eyes widened, pain flashing across them. I almost felt guilty. Almost. The music changed, something slow, melancholic. She took a deep breath. "Can we start over?" she asked, her voice cracking. "Start over," I repeated, almost laughing. "Lena, you paid me to disappear." "I did. You got what you wanted." "I didn't know what I wanted," she said quickly. "I thought power would fill the void, but it just made it bigger." Her vulnerability was so real, it scared me. For a second, I saw the woman I once loved, not the CEO who destroyed me. "Maybe this is what karma looks like," she whispered, watching someone else take what I thought I earned. I leaned forward, lowering my voice. "Maybe karma isn't punishment. Maybe it's just balance." She searched my face, eyes glistening. "And what are you then?" "My balance." I smiled faintly. "Something like that." She laughed, a broken sound. Then she stood, moving closer. Her perfume hit me first, the same scent she used to wear when things were still good. She sat beside me instead of across. "I don't expect forgiveness," she said softly, "but I miss the person I was when I was with you." Her hand touched my arm again, lingering longer this time. And for a moment, I didn't move. The past flickered. Warm, dangerous, familiar. If I leaned in just a little, I could have kissed her, and maybe some part of me wanted to. But I didn't. Instead, I whispered, "That person doesn't exist anymore. You buried him the day you chose money over love." Her breath hitched. I stood up. "You wanted to talk." We talked. She reached for me, desperation breaking through her calm. "Please, don't walk away again." I looked down at her hand clutching my sleeve, the same hand that once signed a check to buy my silence. "I'm not walking away," I said quietly. "I'm just letting you stay where you are." Then I left. Outside, the air was cold and sharp. I didn't look back, but I didn't need to. I could feel her, watching me through the glass, frozen in that bar like a ghost who'd finally realized she was dead. For the first time in a long time, I smiled, not out of spite, but closure. She wanted pity. What she got was distance. And distance, I realized, is the cruelest revenge of all. Chapter 6. Her empire burns. It started with whispers. A missed deadline here, a delayed payment there. People in her company began to talk in hushed voices, afraid to say her name too loudly. The kind of fear that used to protect her was now eating her alive. I didn't have to lift a finger, I just watched. Theo called me one morning, his voice buzzing with excitement. "You seeing the news? Future Vision stocks are plummeting. Apparently their newest project was funded by, well, let's just say, shady hands." I opened my laptop. The headline hit like a slap. "Future Visions faces legal scrutiny over fraud allegations." And beneath it, a photo of Lena caught mid-blink, looking less like a CEO and more like a human being who'd finally run out of miracles. By noon, my phone buzzed again. It was her. "I need to see you." I hesitated, then replied, "When?" "Now." Her office was chaos. Assistants running in and out, phones ringing nonstop, people pretending to work while secretly watching the fire spread. When I walked in, she was sitting behind her desk, staring blankly at her computer screen. She looked smaller than I remembered. "You came," she said quietly. "I'm curious," I replied. "I like seeing history repeat itself." She winced. "Don't." I sat down. "You're the one who called me." She sighed, rubbing her temples. "Evan leaked the deal. He sold information to a competitor before vanishing with the money. The board is turning on me." "And what do you want from me?" "I need your help," she said simply. "You're good with words. You can fix the press statement, make it sound believable." I stared at her. "You think a few lines can save an empire built on lies?" "Don't talk like that," she snapped. "You don't know what it's like to lose everything." "Oh, I do," I said softly. "You taught me." The silence that followed was heavy. She looked at me then. Really looked. I could see the cracks spreading behind her eyes. "Please," she whispered, "I can pay you double." There it was. The same reflex. Money as control. Control as apology. I leaned forward. "Keep your money. You can't buy what you already broke." She flinched, but desperation overpowered pride. "Then do it for me, for what we used to be." I smiled faintly. "That's exactly why I won't." Her voice trembled. "You hate me that much?" "I don't hate you," I said. "I just finally understand you." A knock at the door interrupted us. Her secretary peeked in, pale and nervous. "Ma'am, the board is requesting your presence. They've asked Mr. Rivera to join too." Lena's face drained of color. She didn't move. "I'll come," I said, standing. She looked at me, confused. "Why would you—" "Because I'm curious how this story ends." The boardroom was full of tension. Men and women who once praised her now sitting stiffly, like vultures pretending to be saints. Evan wasn't there, of course. He didn't need to be. His damage was done. One of the directors cleared his throat. "Ms. Rowe, it's come to our attention that the documents approving the investment carry your signature. Can you explain?" Lena opened her mouth, but no words came out. The director turned to me. "You worked with her before, didn't you? You helped write several of the company's early campaigns." "Yes," I said evenly. "And I remember how she handled problems like this." All eyes turned to me. "She never took responsibility," I continued calmly. "She just found someone else to blame." Lena's head snapped toward me. "What are you doing?" she hissed. "Being honest," I said. I turned back to the board. "She's brilliant, but she built everything on fear. The employees are loyal to their paychecks, not to her. If you want to save the company, you'll need to save it from her." Gasps, whispers. Someone at the far end nodded slowly. Lena stood up, trembling. "You think this makes you better than me?" I met her eyes. "No, just free." The meeting dissolved into chaos. Questions, accusations, raised voices. She tried to defend herself, but the room had already turned. As I walked out, she called after me. "You wanted revenge. Congratulations, you got it." I paused at the doorway. "No, Lena, I wanted peace. Revenge just came with it." When I stepped outside, the afternoon light hit me like truth. Warm, clean, final. Behind me, her empire burned quietly, not in flames, but in whispers and boardroom signatures. And for the first time I realized some ruins are beautiful, not because they're gone, but because they finally stopped pretending to stand. Chapter 7. When the smoke clears, it was over. Future visions collapsed within weeks. The investors pulled out. The lawsuits came next. Headlines ate her name alive. I didn't celebrate. I didn't even smile. Watching her empire fall didn't bring me joy. It just felt inevitable, like watching gravity at work. Theo called again, trying to sound casual. "You've seen it, right? She's officially stepped down." I saw. She must be devastated. "Probably?" He hesitated. "You gonna reach out?" "No." I hung up, but fate, or something crueler, had other plans. That night, my doorbell rang. When I opened it, she was standing there. Lena. No makeup, no heels, just a long coat clinging to her like a memory of dignity. Her eyes were red, her voice quiet. "I didn't know where else to go," she said. I didn't invite her in right away. I just stood there, watching her tremble in the cold. Finally, I stepped aside. 5 minutes. She entered like a ghost. Every step sounded too loud in the silence. My apartment was small, nothing like the glass tower she used to rule from. But somehow, she looked even smaller inside it. "You've done well for yourself," she said, trying to sound composed. "I did fine before you," I replied. Her lips twitched, almost a smile, almost pain. She looked around, then sat down on the edge of the couch. "They took everything," she said quietly. "The company, the house, even the staff." "I know," her voice broke. "I thought I could fix it. I thought I could fix us." I crossed my arms. "There is no us, Lena. There hasn't been for a long time." She looked up at me then, really looked. "You hate me." "No," I said. "I don't feel anything." That seemed to hurt her more than hate ever could. She reached for my hand. I didn't move. "I made a mistake," she whispered. "I was scared of being weak. You made me feel like I could be human, and that terrified me." I stared at her hand hovering in the air between us, trembling, desperate, lost. "You wanted control," I said. "You wanted to win. And you did. You just didn't realize what you'd lose in the process." Her voice shook. "I lost you." I didn't answer. The silence stretched until it became unbearable. Then, softly, she said, "Can we start over?" I took a deep breath. "You don't get to start over after burning the bridge." Tears slipped down her cheeks. Quiet, unglamorous tears. For the first time, she didn't look like Lena Rowe, CEO. She looked like a woman who finally saw what she'd done. "I thought you'd be happy to see me fall," she whispered. "I thought so too," I said. "But I'm not. I'm just tired." She nodded slowly, as if that was worse. After a long moment, she stood. "I'll go." At the door, she paused. "Do you ever miss me?" I looked at her, the same eyes that once made me forget who I was. "Sometimes," I said truthfully, "but then I remember why I left." She nodded again, biting her lip to stop it from trembling. "Goodbye then." "Goodbye, Lena." She walked away without looking back. I stood there for a long time after the door closed, listening to the quiet hum of the city outside. No satisfaction, no triumph, just peace. That's the thing no one tells you about revenge. It doesn't heal you. It just clears the noise long enough for you to hear the truth. And the truth was simple. I didn't need her to fall. I just needed to stop falling for her. Chapter 8. The smile that ended it all time didn't heal me. It just softened the edges. The pain faded into something quieter, something I could live with. I still wrote, not for clients anymore, but for myself. I published small essays, stories no one knew were mine. They were about loss, about choices, about the strange peace that comes after chaos. People said they felt real. I guess that's because they were. Sometimes I'd walk past her old building. The name Future Visions had been replaced. The new sign gleamed, impersonal and clean. You'd never know what once happened there. How much ambition, love, and destruction lived within those walls. Theo told me she moved away, sold everything, disappeared somewhere quiet. Maybe that was her version of peace. One afternoon, I sat at my favorite cafe by the river, the same place where I used to edit her presentations, back when we were still us. The world had changed, but the river hadn't. It still flowed, calm and relentless, like it knew that everything people build eventually sinks. As I sipped my coffee, I saw her. Lena. No designer suit this time, just a plain coat, her hair tied back, walking slowly along the riverbank. Alone. She didn't see me, and I didn't call out. For a moment, I just watched. Not as a lover, not as an enemy, but as a witness to something that once mattered. She stopped by the water, staring at her reflection. The wind lifted her hair. I could see the faintest trace of the woman I once loved, buried under time and consequence. And for the first time, I didn't feel anger. I didn't feel pity. I just felt done. That was the moment I smiled. Not the smile she remembered. Not sharp, not triumphant. Just calm. Final. The kind of smile that says, it's over. And maybe she felt it too because she turned, her eyes scanning the cafe windows for something or someone that wasn't there anymore. I left before she could find me. Walking home, the air felt lighter. The world didn't owe me justice anymore. I didn't need her apology. Her downfall wasn't my victory. It was just the natural end of a story that had already burned out. Somewhere along the way, revenge had stopped being my reason to wake up. Living had. That night, I sat by the window and watched the city lights shimmer on the glass, tiny reflections of everything I'd survived. People talk about closure like it's an ending, but it's not. It's just the quiet understanding that you don't need to go back. She once paid me to leave her life. I did. And my smile that day, the one she thought was bitter, wasn't revenge. It was freedom.